Thanksgiving is this week as I sit here recording this, and that means that a lot of us here in the United States who celebrate Thanksgiving are going to be seeing our relatives very soon, including maybe some relatives that we don't see very often, relatives that are in our extended family, our cousins, our aunts and uncles, maybe even grandparents or great grandparents that we aren't super close with. And here we are in still the relatively immediate aftermath of an incredibly divisive election. And if you come from a big family with a lot of, and I hate to say this because it's become a buzzword, but a lot of viewpoint diversity, that can be a little daunting. It's not exactly the best circumstance to be meeting with your family of, let's say, Trump supporters if you are not a Trump supporter. And that can lead to a lot of anxiety. That can even lead to people not wanting to go to Thanksgiving, not wanting to see their family, to just save themselves the trouble. And God knows I am the last person to ever tell anybody that they should get over that and force themselves to go see their family. My philosophy about this and about a lot of other things is, you know what? Life's too short. And if you don't think it's worth it to go to Thanksgiving dinner and have to endure the presence of your shitty right-wing cousins or whoever it might be in your family that you are feeling trepidatious about having to be around, then just don't go. Just don't go. Nobody's going to come to your house and drag you out and haul your ass to Thanksgiving against your will, unless your family's way different than mine. But just because I won't make you feel bad about it doesn't mean that there aren't other people who might, including people in your family, including probably those right-wing members of your family who take it personally when they hear that you're not coming to Thanksgiving because of them, or take it personally when they hear that they are not invited to Thanksgiving because the rest of the family doesn't want to associate with them. And their bitterness toward that, their disgruntlement toward that has led to the proliferation on social media of a lot of memes like this. And I'm sure you've seen this meme before. You've probably seen it a lot since the election, and you'll probably be seeing it a lot this week if you're an American with Thanksgiving coming up, because this is a very popular sentiment among folks on the right. It's a white guy holding up a sign that says, "We can disagree and still be friends." And the thing I want to say about the wisdom of this meme is that, depending on the circumstance, that's right. We can disagree and still be friends. I like pineapple on pizza. If you don't, we can disagree and still be friends. We can even order a pizza together. We can just order it half and half, where half of it has pineapple on it and half of it doesn't and has whatever you like. We can do that. We can still be friends. We can still share a pizza and be friends and coexist. I like baseball. If you prefer basketball or football or some other sport, that's okay. We can disagree. We can still be friends. Speaking of baseball, I'm an Orioles fan. If you are a Yankees fan, we can disagree. We can still be friends. I'm a pro wrestling fan. If you don't like pro wrestling, and I love pro wrestling, it's probably not going to be that big of a wedge between us, right? We can still be friends. We can disagree and still be friends. You know, it's not going to break us up. I think the best live-action Superman was Christopher Reeve. If you think the best live-action Superman was Henry Cavill, it's going to be really tough. But I think we can get past it and still be friends. I'm the one who's going to have to be getting past some stuff for that to happen, but I think I can do it, assuming that you're worth it. I hope you are. But there are certain things that I don't think we can get past. And again, this is different for every individual, but speaking only for myself, there are certain things that are not like your favorite live-action Superman, or whether or not you like wrestling, or who your favorite baseball team is. There are certain things that I don't think we can disagree on and still be friends. because those are the things that don't just speak to a preference you have, but they speak to what kind of a person you are. If you voted for Donald Trump, we probably can't be friends. That's a line that I have drawn. And it's a line that I drew in 2016, but I would like to reiterate that line. If you voted for Donald Trump, especially if you voted for Donald Trump this time, we can't be friends. We can't be friends. That's a decision I'm making. Because that tells me something about you. That tells me that in the most charitable interpretation of your vote for Donald Trump, you're just a dipshit who doesn't know a fucking thing about a fucking thing. And that might not necessarily make you a bad person, but it does make you the kind of person that I don't want to be friends with, because I don't want to waste my time hanging out with ignorant fucking doofuses. And that's the best case scenario to explain your Trump vote. It's far more likely that you voted for Trump knowingly, willingly, willfully, because something about him, something about his campaign appealed to you. And if that is true, we can't be friends. If you knew who Donald Trump was, and you knew what he stood for, and you knew the kinds of things he was promising to do if he got elected president again, if you knew that he wanted to initiate mass deportations, to deport millions and millions of people from this country, not just the most violent criminals who came in without checking in, the most violent undocumented immigrants who are an active danger to everybody else around them, which is a very small number of people, by the way. But he's not just after those people. He and various other surrogates of his and people who will be serving in his administration have talked openly about wanting to deport all undocumented immigrants, whether they have a history of violent crime or not. Even if the only crime they committed was crossing the border without permission, they have to go. Even if they've lived in this country for decades, even if they have families and communities, even if they work and pay taxes and contribute to the country in a positive way, which they do, by the way. If you're okay with that, we can't be friends. Or if you know about that, but that's not a deal breaker for you, we can't be friends. That tells me something about you. That tells me that you're the kind of person that I can't be friends with. If you heard the anti-trans rhetoric that was coming out of the Trump campaign incessantly throughout the campaign, but especially in the closing weeks, if you saw the fear-mongering and the lying and the vilification, the demonization of trans people from the Trump campaign, and that wasn't enough for you to not vote for them, or even worse, you heard it and that appealed to you, and you were like, yeah, let's do something about those trans people, we can't be friends. We can't be friends, because that tells me that you're a transphobe, and a transphobe is a category of bigot. And I don't want to be friends with bigots, if I can help it. And I can. That's the nice thing. I wonder what goes through the mind of a Trump supporter who hears someone like me say something like that, and then they say, why can't we disagree and still be friends? Like, in their mind, what does that half and half pizza look like? And would they still say the same thing if my beliefs and the politicians running on my side and trying to get my vote had promised to do the equivalent to them that Donald Trump has promised to do to people that I care about, people that I would like to ally myself with? If Kamala Harris had promised to deport white people, like not something that other people accused her of, but what if she made that the centerpiece of her campaign? What if Kamala Harris had come out and run for president and said, I promise when I become president, we are going to throw money at the Border Patrol and at ICE, and we are going to round up every white person in this country, and we are going to kick them out. We're going to send them back to Europe. We're going to send them to some other country. They're not going to stay here. And she meant it. And you, Trump supporter, found out that I voted for her. And that I thought that her plan to get rid of all the white people, including, presumably me, but all the white people in the country, I thought that was a great idea. And I didn't think there was a single thing wrong with that. And I voted for her, and I'm proud of it. Would you invite me to Thanksgiving? Because that's what it sounds like you're expecting from our side. You may not be saying those things yourself actively if you are a Trump voter, but those are things that you at least don't have a problem with. Those things aren't deal breakers for you. So why should I invite you to Thanksgiving? Or if I know you're going to be at Thanksgiving, why should I want to be there? Why should I want to sit at a table and break bread with you? You're a piece of shit. Look what you voted for. Look what you voted for. You voted for the scapegoating and the disenfranchisement and the vilification of innocent people, innocent citizens in this country who are doing you no harm, who are doing nobody any harm. But you have decided that they should be punished. Why do I want to have Thanksgiving dinner with you? Why do I want to be in the same room with you? Why do I want to force myself to be in your presence at all? What is the half and half pizza version of that? I support trans rights on my half of the pizza, and you support, in many cases, like literal unreconstructed Nazi shit on your side of the pizza. But your stuff isn't on my side and my stuff isn't on your side, so that's okay. We can still be friends. We can disagree and still be friends. We cut the pizza in half, and we can still share the pizza. But the question that never seems to occur to the people on the right who make these arguments or who get all self-righteous and say, why can't we disagree and still be friends? The thing that never seems to occur to them is that we don't want to be friends with you. I don't feel like I'm depriving myself of something necessary by saying I'm not going to be friends with Trump supporters. I'm not going to be friends with people on the far right who, if they aren't fucking Nazis, are at least uncomfortably Nazi adjacent, are worryingly okay with being counted on the side of Nazis. I don't feel like I'm depriving myself of something by not associating with those people and by not allowing those people to associate themselves with me. Because the choices you have made and the people that you have revealed yourselves to be through your actions, through your choices, through who you support, and the kinds of things you tolerate and the kinds of things you make a big show of not tolerating. We find that offensive. We find that repugnant in a way that we are unwilling to overlook, even if it's Thanksgiving. Who are you to me, Trump supporter? Who are you to me that is so important that I should be expected to put up with you and everything you stand for and all the vile, vicious, ugly baggage that you carry around and will carry around for the rest of your life because of the choices you have made and who you've supported in this election? And I should just overlook all of that so we can be friends? Why? Why? What do I gain from that? Your friendship? How much is that worth? Seriously, how much is that worth? And how full of yourself do you have to be shocked? He doesn't want to be my friend? Why don't they want to be our friend? What's so bad about us? I think maybe that's part of the problem. I think maybe if you pulled your heads out of your asses, not only would you understand why a bunch of us don't want to be your friends and don't want to be around you, but you might also start to understand why so many of your positions and so many of the things you support are so unacceptable to so many of us. Because when you pull your head out of your ass and you look around at the world, you start to notice that there are other people there Huh. It's not just a thought experiment. There are other people that are really there, and some of them are not like you. Does that mean they don't deserve rights? Does that mean they don't deserve basic respect? If I judge you and your position by your vote, then you believe they don't deserve basic respect. You believe they don't deserve rights, at least not the same rights that you have. So why do I want to be friends with you? What do you bring to the table? It's Thanksgiving. What do you bring to the table? Mashed potatoes? I'd rather eat dried, instant mashed potatoes made out of a box than whatever kind of mashed potatoes you would bring to Thanksgiving. Because even if they were the most delicious mashed potatoes you could ever have, I wouldn't be okay with who I'd have to thank for them.